This is basically going to mirror what we did in part 1. American underscore DG underscore lineup equals new data provider. Opening closing parentheses, semicolon, national underscore DG underscore lineup equals new data provider. Opening closing parentheses, semicolon. Next line, build underscore DG, opening closing parentheses, semicolon, and the main build. Opening closing parentheses, semicolon. Next line, closing bracket. All right, next line. And what we're going to do right here is basically going to define what our main build is. And this one is definitely a lot shorter than what we did before, simply because we're not adding any text to stage or anything like that. So what we need to say first is, let's see, private function main underscore build, opening closing parentheses, colon void, opening bracket. Go ahead and make some room. What we need to do is set up our restrictions first, since we're not basically, telling the text what to do. This is going to kind of be off the wall here. So we're going to set our at bat text as the restriction. All right, so we're going to say AB underscore TXT dot restrict equals, and of course, I'm sure you remember, 0, 1, 2, 3, all right, through 9, closing quotation mark, semicolon. All right, and our next step is to add items to the combo box. League underscore CB. All right, we're going to do this one a little bit differently. Instead of having it straight as either selected automatically National League or American, we can go ahead and set this to prompt. Now, obviously, this is up to you if you want to use it. But in order to prompt it to have it show us, show maybe something like please select league, closing quotation mark, semicolon, automatically for the, the first value inside of the combo box that you see in the upstate is going to be the please select league. Following that is where you want to do the league underscore CB dot add item, opening parentheses, opening bracket, label, colon, opening quotation marks, and here's where we can put our American League, closing quotation marks, comma, data, colon, 0, closing parentheses, or closing bracket, closing parentheses, semicolon. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. All right, paste that. I'm going to change the data to 1. Change this to National League. And that should be it. We don't have to add it to stage or anything, so it should be ready to rock just like that. All right, but our next bit is to actually set up our submit button for its label and the event listener. And we have a couple other event listeners that we're going to be using. I might get into that later, though. I don't know. We'll start this off. Submit underscore BTN dot label, which is how we tell what we want the button to say, equals opening quotation marks. We can say add player, closing quotation marks, semicolon. Submit underscore BTN dot add event listener, opening parentheses, mouse event dot click, comma, submit underscore player, closing parentheses, semicolon. Next line. I'll wait on this one. Go ahead and make a little note here. All right, we'll add this stuff later. Basically, I want to run through this just to kind of show you. This is sort of what I've got set up for us to do are just some basic extras. Just kind of get you familiar with how to send data back and forth to places. So go ahead and skip that. The next thing that we need to set up is our clear button. So let's go ahead and say clear underscore BTN dot label equals opening quotation marks. Let's say clear fields, closing quotation marks, semicolon. Next line. Let's go ahead and set the event listener for our clear button. Clear underscore BTN add event listener, opening parentheses, mouse event dot click, comma. We'll say clear underscore fields, which we'll define in a little bit, semicolon. All right, come down to the next line. We can go ahead and close that one off, and we can hop into our submit functions again. Now, our submit functions are going to be a little bit different. If you remember the last one, we just had 3 options, all right, that we were basically telling it what it was needing to submit. For this one, we basically have, what was that, like 5 extra ones? So in all, we have about 8 data points that we need to be able to plug into our data grids. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so let's go ahead and set this up as private function submit underscore player opening parentheses e variable name for event mouse event closing parentheses colon void opening bracket next line if opening parentheses name underscore txt dot text exclamation point equals opening quotation marks closing quotation marks. So we're basically saying, all right, if the text is whatever is filled in our input text boxes, then we need to say 2 ampersands, basically separating this to move on to the next one, sort of name text, and ab underscore txt dot text equals opening, is that right? No, exclamation point equals opening quotation marks, closing quotation marks. Again, 2 ampersand signs. What's next? We got AB hits. And we got home runs. All right. HR underscore TXT dot text exclamation point equals opening quotation marks, closing quotation marks, ampersand, 2 ampersand signs. I can hit it. Where is it? And then our next one after home runs is RBIs. So we want to say RBI underscore txt dot text exclamation point equals opening quotation mark, closing quotation marks, 2 more ampersand signs. What came next? Was it the strikeout? K? Yeah, K underscore txt dot text space exclamation point equals opening quotation marks, closing quotation marks, 2 ampersands. Let's see what came after strikeout. Base on balls. All right, so we can say B underscore or BB underscore txt dot text exclamation point equals opening quotation marks, closing quotation marks, 2 ampersands, and of course stolen bases. So SB underscore txt dot text exclamation point equals opening quotation marks, closing quotation marks. Then we can go ahead and close that with a closing parentheses, and then do an opening bracket to start our if statement. So basically, if you don't have all that, go ahead and hit pause and just kind of catch up. Just making sure that looks right. Yeah, that should be good. All right, so go ahead and get on the next line. And what we're going to say here is var. I'm going to set up our target underscore lineup colon data provider semicolon if opening parentheses what is this league underscore CB referring to our combo box dot selected item dot label is opening quotation marks American League, saying if the combo box is on American League, it's going to do what? All right, it's going to say that our target lineup is our American underscore DG underscore lineup. Okay, semicolon. All right, now we can say else target underscore lineup equals national underscore DG underscore lineup. Basically saying if the selected item label is American League, it's going to be the American lineup. If not, it's going to be the national lineup.